Welcome back to Albums of the Year. It's been a while, we know. And so we're back today with sort of a special video. Instead of doing an album reaction or a deep dive into a certain year, we're going to kind of just talk about, where we've been the last month, what albums we listened to, and sort of recommend to each other, and by proxy, all of you, 5 albums each.
Yeah.
So there's going to be really no rules here. There's going to be no theming.
We're breaking all the rules. Look at where we're sitting.
Exactly.
It's completely all the rules broken.
Yeah. So first we can start with you. What was, your first of 5 albums that you have been really into this last month and a bit?
Yeah. So my first would probably be this very strange one, and I'm going to try to get the name right. It's in Finnish, I don't speak Finnish. But so if you're Finnish out there and I'm sorry. But it's Silinteritie, maybe Silinteritie, maybe. It does not sound Finnish to me, but
by Kuolleet
Intiaanit, yeah. So this is one of the members from the band Oransi Pazuzu, which is like a really experimental, scary, like death metal or black metal band. It's like an experimental metal band. And so I was like, I want to see where they go from this. And this album is nothing like that. It's not metal at all. Instead, it's like gothic rock or like industrial music. It fits into a really weird niche where it's kind of like rock or like post-punk / organ gothic music, like almost like neoclassical darkwave type of music. And I feel like it just has like such a cool Halloween-y vibe that really fit for the fall months. So yeah, this one is on a lot, lots of fun.
And it came out in 2006?
Yes, 2006.
Cool. Yeah, you can play a song from it.
Sure. My favorite one is Nocturno naulaa kohtalon. No idea what that means, but... is very almost black moody-esque. Like it's kind of like a collage of color. Yeah.
Even like organs, that's cool.
And the singing is like almost operatic.
Yeah, it is.
I find these parts just very spooky, very like slinking through your alleyways.
It's good dark chord progression. Yeah. See why it's hard to put this in a genre? It like doesn't cleanly fit into any genre. This part's almost like psych rock. Yeah. Really dramatic. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I always like operatic vocals with rock, especially like heavier, darker rock. Neat. Cool. So for my first pick, recently I found some pretty good albums from the 80s. So I could pick one from there, I guess. Like one of the albums that really stood out to me, weirdly enough, from the 80s, which I didn't expect to like, was Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA.
Right.
Which, like, I think everyone knows, like, his, the big single from that album, the title track.
Yeah.
It's funny how it's viewed as an American anthem, like a patriotic song, when it's not at all, And the whole album's sort of about the plight of the kind of working, rural American man. And there's a song on that album that's also quite popular that I really, really liked. That just has this sort of emotional core to it as well. And just really reminded me of, like, my favorite era of Arcade Fire, the Neon Bible era.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple songs on that album that really reminded me of that, and I know that it was a huge inspiration for Arcade Fire. So, yeah, there's a song I want to show you from that album. It's from 1984. It's I think the second last track. It's called Dancing in the Dark.
Cool.
So, oh, this is actually the most popular song on Spotify. It's cool.
I can definitely see the Arcade Fire.
Messages keep getting clearer. I just knew it would come like this. There's something happening somewhere. Baby, I just know this. You can't start a fire. You can't start a fire without a spark. This comes for higher. Even if we're just dancing in the dark.
The production of the song is sort of, classic 80s, right? Yeah, it's on the reverb.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, the snare. I do like the vocal fry on his voice there.
Oh, yeah. These are really powerful songs.
I really like that.
Yeah, it's like almost like a, a metallic kind of synth pad, right?
Oh, the saxophone, of course.
Gotta have it.
Obligatory. Yeah. But like ambient saxophone solos, that's something we lost. Like a lot of things in the 80s, it's like, that's good that that stayed in the 80s, but like the saxophone we had, no.
Yeah, the saxophone outro, you gotta have that.
You have to have. I just think of the song "Colder Than Ice" by Pond.
Oh yeah.
Which like ends with that ambient saxophone solo, and it's like, oh, it's
right.
just so perfect. Like it's
song.
So good, and that of course goes back to like an 80s sound as well.
So what's your next pick? What's your next album you've been into?
Yeah. My next album is "In Flickers" by Lycia. This is a darkwave / like shoegaze type album from 2018. But it sounds, it gets the sound of, the 90s so perfectly.
Oh, that's good.
And in general, I think it just holds like a level of kind of dark melancholy that I really connect to. That brings me back to like My Bloody Valentine type of sound. Even though this band is overall, a lot more on the neoclassical darkwave kind of sound, rather than like a rock sound. But yeah, they have like a male and female vocalist that have vocal styles and production very similar to Slowdive, which just any music like Slowdive, I'm willing to get into. So.
Yep, me too. All right, I'm interested. What's a song?
Picking a favorite song or like a song to show you here is very difficult. But I'm gonna, I think Rewrite holds a darkness and noise to it that exemplifies what I really like in the album. So.
Cool.
It's
Oh, that was fantastic. It's a really good song. When that female vocal came in kind of near the end, it's like, whoa, it takes the song up to another level of creepiness. Like,
Yeah.
it was good. Yeah, the song, it reminded me a bit of the, the Dale Cooper Quartet album, like the the dark jazz album. Slow dive only in the production, but like very different tone. And then I was expecting it to sound more like the Just Mustard album from this year, but no, completely different, despite also being a fusion of two similar genres. It was more like almost a Nine Inch Nails
Yes.
song.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Definitely.
it was cool. Like later Nine Inch Nails when he went more rock instead of industrial, but really cool. Yeah, I listened to this album for sure. It was really cool.
Yeah. So what is your next one?
Yeah, so I think for my next one, I want to show you something very. It's semi obscure, but I came across it when I was listening to some albums from the early 2000s. And this is an album called Leaves Turn Inside You by a band called Unwound.
Okay.
And the genre is kind of shoegaze too, but like in a post-rock way, more than like a like the last track you showed me. So it's like really sparse sound. A lot of these tracks are really long, so I'll show you a shorter one. But like it has like a kind of haunted house sort of feel to it.
Cool.
So it's very perfect for the fall, first off, but also like, yeah, it just has this sort of unsettling, dark ambient vibe to it. So I'll show you this track called, well, first off, the album cover is just this very, very minimalistic thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, this, I don't know how I never listened to this album before I got into it, but when I listened to it, I'm like, wow, this feels like one of those essential kind of like post-rock, or early post-rock albums. It's really cool. Anyway, so this track's called Treachery.
I love the rhythm. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love that the vocals are like just kind of like falling over each other.
Yeah, the thing with this album is that like the vocals just kind of sit into the background. The guitar is like forefront of this album.
Yeah. On the shoegaze spectrum, from like soft slow dive to intense, like noisy.
It's almost as like a bit of a post-punk. Sound,
Yeah.
right?
It's definitely more.
It's more
yeah,
on that side, but some of the other tracks go more on the other side too. Like the longer tracks, which I didn't want to show you because like 10 minutes plus. But
Okay.
yeah.
How long is the album?
I think it's about an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, definitely would recommend this one. It's a real journey. This one.
Yeah, that song is really cool.
Yeah. Cool. So what's your next pick?
My next pick is one that you have listened to.
Right.
In fact, you recommended it to me like probably a year and a half ago, and then finally I got around to listening to it. Archaeopteryx by Monolake. And so yeah, I just had it in the back of my mind, put it on one of my many lists of music to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, I found Monolake, just listening to a ton of ambient IDM lately.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Monolake, that's the band that Brighton recommended me, Archaeopteryx. And so, I finally got around to listen to it. I was like pleasantly surprised. Like, I came into it expecting, like, this is going to be a good ambient IDM album. But, like, it hit hard. Like, some of the tracks, like, really hit home in ways that, like in similar ways to, like, Substrata or Saw 2.
Totally.
Where it's, like, it's just, maybe it's just the synth work. It's really, like, the pads, especially, throughout this album, really took the forefront for me. Even though, like, the rhythms and all of that were, very important and were, prominent. But really the synth pads and the chord progressions and all that really brought me, it made me feel like I'm, like, moving between planets. Like, it felt like planetary scale, a lot of it.
Yeah, no, Monolake's really good with the ambient kind of side of electronic music. Like, if you ever listen to his album Ghosts, it's, like, some really spooky, dark ambient music.
Cool.
With, like, the kind of skittering Otakar type IDM beats. It's like, that's what he's more known for, and this is, like, a much longer exploration of, like, that kind of sound.
Okay,
so
cool.
Yeah, if you want something darker, check out Ghosts, but this is, like, more middle. It has more variety, I'd say, in emotion, right? This album.
Yeah, I'll have to check out Ghosts. That sounds good.
You should. But yeah, there's some really good, really, really genius tracks on this album.
I'll since you've listened to
I haven't listened to it in a long time, so I'm down to listen to another song.
Okay, this one is 10 minutes, so I'm not going to choose that one. But I think this one is.
How long is this one?
This one is 5.
Yeah.
I thought this one was really cool.
I want to see what track this is on their own. Oh, pretty late. Or middle.
It's a long album.
It is. I also just love the album cover of this album.
Yeah. I feel like this song really fits the album cover too. It feels very glitchy and dark and distorted.
Yeah. These vocal samplings remind me of something you find like Syro, like Icks from Syro. Yeah, kind of. Just weird time stretched vocals.
I think just darker. And I love the contrast with these like.
Yeah, this is definitely an album I just listen to the whole way through every time. Like, even though it's long, it's just like a good atmosphere.
notice I never said the name of the song. And I think that's funny too, because what it means is that if the viewer likes this sound, then like they can't just go to the one song, they have to listen to the album.
That's right.
Which I think fits.
Yeah, Icks Argle is what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great track.
Yeah, I just love
Real-
the contrast between the kind of creepy gargled voices and like the really bright,
The light show.
sparkly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so another album that I've been really into lately is by The Smiths, which is, I think, their best album, The Queen is Dead.
Yeah, I've listened to
And-
their first 2 albums, but I've not listened to this one.
Yeah, and I would totally recommend this one. It's like, it's the same sound you'd expect from the first 2 then, but like it's just honed to perfection. Really they're mastering their sound. And this is...
Do you want to share a little bit about the Smiths, if the
Sure.
doesn't know?
Yeah, I mean, they're an 80s sort of like post-punk new wave band, I guess, like maybe early alternative rock. They had a short run, with 4 albums from like 1980 to 86 or 87 or something like that. Like a very short period of time, but yeah, I mean, they had a strong like political message through the music of like anti-monarchy, pretty like, pretty like left-leaning stuff. And then apparently the lead singer went on to prove that he's a terrible person. But beyond that, their 4 albums they released are still pretty much like hailed as classics, especially this one. And there's a pretty clear reason why when you listen to them. Like they have such a great sound, great band chemistry, and like Morrissey's voice is like really, really good and affecting. So
Cool.
Yeah, and this is their most popular album, I'd say, from 1986. The Queen is Dead. And this song's called Bigmouth Strikes Again.
Did you decide to listen to this because the Queen died?
It's funny. I think I listened to it the first time, like literally that week.
Oh yeah.
But it was completely coincidence. I wasn't like looking for albums about the Queen dying. But
That's funny.
Weakness, I was only joking when I said I'd like to mash it in your head.
I like the bass.
it's an acoustic guitar instead of the usual guitar sound.
Weakness, I was only joking when I said by rights you should be bludgeoned in your bed.
It's really fast. This song's
It's a lot of high energy.
yeah. That guitar line, that fast guitar line, almost reminds me of the like North African genre of soukous, where they have really high guitars, kind of doing similar things like that. Very interesting choice of like the up-pitched voice.
Probably like a symbolic, or like a meaning toward behind that in the lyrics, but I haven't listened to the lyrics of the song. The classic 80s fade out.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ah, I love this band. It's so good.
I know, right? This
Yeah.
is like a good representative song for the album too. So.
Cool. I'm definitely listening to that as well.
Oh yeah. So yeah, what's your next one? I guess your fourth pick.
My fourth pick would be Velero by Fleshgod Apocalypse.
All right.
Fleshgod Apocalypse is a technical symphonic death metal band.
Oh dear.
I'm not sure if it's death metal or black metal. I have a hard time telling. But I think it's death metal. Technical symphonic death. And they're like the only band that actually fills those 4 genre labels together. I think I really like symphonic metal, but I find that a lot of it is really cheesy. And this band just they go to 11 out of 10 with like energy and intensity and epicness. But they're not cheesy when they do it. And I think that's a really important line. I want to show you Monnalisa. which yeah, I'll just get right into it.
Piano. Where's this band from again?
Italy.
Cool. Yeah, this is like symphonic metal without being cheesy. It's more like actually epic.
Yeah.
The scale they're trying to go for.
Absolutely.
I think that the vocals really matter in that kind of piece too. You need to have it operatic, but not cheesy operatic. It has to actually sound like opera.
Yeah.
Like that little whammy. Also produced super well.
Oh yeah.
This kind of guitar solo is more like you find like earlier heavy metal, not like
For sure.
definitely. It's cool.
There you get the opera.
Works third talent. Opera sounds the best in Italian. Hands down, right?
Oh yeah. German as well.
German opera can be pretty good. Yeah, as well, mostly like opera in English. Something's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with like choirs.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
maybe because we like couldn't understand it. Maybe that ruins it.
It does.
Good drumming.
I know.
That was a really good song. Yeah, very intense, very epic.
This band does okay. So the interesting thing, based on what my friend said about this band, is that with King and previous albums, the main singer stepped away. And played drums, and then they had a different singer or something. And my friend likes this album better because they came back to the old singer that they had in the beginning, who kind of is like the head of the band, and he was leading the band from the drums for a few albums. And so he came back, and it's like. So this is a different drummer and singer than what I'm used to, and it's like I don't really notice it very much. I it's a little bit different, but I don't see any difference in like quality.
Okay, well, very talented band members then.
Yeah, absolutely.
My next one is an album that came out in the year 2000. It's like probably the most popular Plunderphonics album in that genre. I don't know if you listened to this, but
I might have. It might be on my list, and I haven't listened to it.
Fair enough, yeah. But no, it's by the band The Avalanches.
Oh, I have listened. Or I have not listened to this, but it's on my list.
Ah,
It's
cool.
on the same list that Archaeopteryx was on, and I finally got to that song.
Yeah, so this album is like entirely made up, like Plunderphonics, right? Is the genre. It's entirely made up of samples.
Yeah.
Right. Stitched together, make like these crazy eclectic songs.
Right.
And this is probably the most well-known track off that album, but for a good reason. It's just a masterpiece. So it's called Frontier Psychiatrist. So this does fit in like the whole flow of the album, which is like its own hour-long story, basically, of chaos and fun. And this like slots in there right away, so you probably can tell like that it bleeds in from the previous track and goes into the next track. But still, we'll let it go just on its own. So just like with the track you just showed me, we'll just jump into it.
Yeah.
So here we go.
That's a horse.
Mr. Catchup in school.
I'm afraid he's not, Miss Fishmore. Dexter's problem is swear of hand.
The Baltimore County School Board have decided to expel Dexter from the entire public school system.
Mr. Kirk, I'm as upset as you say that Dexter should be. But surely expulsion is not the answer.
I'm afraid expulsion is the only answer. It's the opinion of the entire staff that Dexter is criminally insane.
That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy. Lie down on the couch. What does that mean? You're a nut. You're crazy to coconut. What does that mean? That boy needs therapy. I wanna kill you. That boy needs therapy. Ready to shoot. Let's have it, Chief. I wanna count 3. That red. Roll 20. 20,000. Rectangles. Doing up optometrist man with the gold eyeball.
Or juice on your chin.
Promise my girlfriend. The violin.
And they rhyme these samples together. It's hilarious.
It's really funny.
Can you think of anything that talks other than a person? Sometimes a parrot talks. Yes, some birds are funny when they talk. Can you think of anything else?
I feel like that's like a whole like
Like an album in one track. Yeah.
yeah, that's like a whole like I don't even have words. It's like I feel like it's a whole genre or like area of music, whole sound that I've not even touched before. Like that's
Oh
like
yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's like sort of
awesome.
turntablism, right? In a way,
Yeah.
where it's like, you know, it has a lot of the 90s sort of record scratch type stuff. It has like hip hop.
Like yeah, you could
sound.
have like hip hop. Yeah,
Yeah, but it's like taking every sound at once.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's crazy. Like DJ Shadow's Introducing does this as well.
Yeah.
It's the same genre, but like that's like a lot more of a different tone than this. This is like going on some sort of vibrant, eclectic cruise ship.
yeah,
But
yeah. I can see that.
yeah, pretty cool, right?
It was really interesting to hear this kind of sound, but with no like rapping over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's enough going on though that you couldn't have rapping.
No,
really.
no. Yeah.
The
Like, the
vocal
samples
samples
are-
make like the lyrics.
Yeah.
Which they do so effectively on this album.
It's very
so
funny. Like it's yeah. For my last album, it is from one of my favorite bands, Mild High Club.
Oh yeah.
This album came out last year.
Oh, cool.
Going, Going, Gone. And I listened to it for the first time last year, and it didn't really have an impact on me. It was just like, whatever. But recently, in the last few days, really, I've come back to all of their albums. And while I still do think that Skip Tracing,
Yeah, Skip Tracing.
Skip Tracing, yeah,
Amazing
Skip Tracing is, I think, still the best.
Mhm.
It's just all of the elements came together for like such hard hitting, like concentration of great rhythms and great sounds. And,
Yeah.
and it's short and it's I think that this album, which is also short, just has it's 29 minutes. It has less substance to it overall. I do think that it's definitely still worth a listen. Though I would, if you haven't listened to Mild High Club before, they're like a psychedelic pop band that brings in a lot of jazz elements.
Yeah.
And I think that listening to Skip Tracing is more worthwhile than this one. I would say that if you like Skip Tracing, this one is an excellent thing to also listen to. Same with their first album. So, yeah. just still definitely one of my favorite bands. And I'll show you the song. And this song just it makes me laugh, but it's also like
Me, Myself,
really
and Dollar
good.
Hell.
Me, Myself, and Dollar Hell. Yeah. You can tell it flows from the previous song.
Right. Bit of a different sound from Tracy.
Yeah.
Can't pinpoint how. It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Some good little production. This is a really good like winter, almost Christmassy vibe.
Yeah.
With the song that it's snowing outside in the winter wonderland.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's a good little song.
Yeah.
I'll probably check out that album. It's short anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, just one more song then. So I've been listening to this band called the Dead Kennedys. That is kind of like a 80s punk. Yeah, it's a 80s like punk. Not really post-punk, they're just punk band. And they had a very, very overt political message in their music, which was like super like against the kind of like rising religious right of the 80s in America.
Right.
Yeah, right. And just looking at some of their their track names, you know, Kill the Poor, Let's Lynch the Landlord, you know.
Nice.
They have some very, just like, you know, politically obvious songs. California Uber Alles. Yeah. And there was a song about the then governor of California. Yeah. Anyway, there's some very, very fun stuff. So it's kind of hard to pick a track to show you from Dead Kennedys because, like, a lot of their tracks are super short. So I'll just pick one that I think really encapsulates their sound.
What is the album called?
Plastic Surgery Disaster.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. This track here is called I Am the Owl, and I think it was about... It's not a short track, it's like a 4-minute track, which is probably better as an introduction.
Yeah.
And this one is like sort of about, I think it's about like government surveillance.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway. I just remember it had like a good groove.
Yeah.
Oh, this album's from 1986. So.
Okay.
Or something like that. Might be even 2. Yeah.
Those are very sharp guitars.
Yeah. The vocalist is very unique too.
Next time we jam, we should do this.
Speed with bass groove.
Yeah. It's simple, but it's powerful. It's good.
Yeah, they have a very raw production style.
Yeah. Well, it's, yeah.
They keep to this. They keep to the studio.
Weird voice.
I know, right? I read a comment that was like, he always sounds like he's shivering. And I just heard that. That's good. Is there any lyrics on here? Your iPad, you can do that.
I think it is. That is
Weird. Sort of a Pixies moment there.
Yeah. Wow. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That bass group just held it all together.
I know, right?
So good.
Yeah, usually their tracks don't go on that long, but they always have something like as a core element like that in them. So
Nice.
and like the vocal delivery is always so unhinged on their songs. It's great.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that was it then. 5 albums each.
Yeah.
A good little recap of where we have been the last month.
Yeah, there's been a lot that I wasn't able to put on because it wasn't like albums that I've been listening
Right.
to as much. Or like I've listened to the albums and it's been like 1 or 2 songs have been good. These have been like ones that I feel like are full albums worth listening to.
We'll probably be back on track, like, making reaction videos.
We've got a few.
We have some ideas, some backlog.
Yeah.
But until then, thanks for watching,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been fun.
See you later.